This guy I used to hang out with years ago. He used to say this. They should make a law where girls have to have sex with you. He said it one time, and then he said it a bunch of other times, and it was just kind of weird to me. I was like, it's kind of like, isn't that like rape? The girl's like, okay, I don't want to have sex with you, but the law says I have to. But the reason why I'm bringing this up, and by the way, this is another one of those random videos. I met a lot of interesting guys doing PUA over the last 8, 9 years of my life. There was only maybe a few that were actually like me, down to earth, not too brainwashed. But back when they had layer meetings, and for those who don't know what a layer meeting is, now with RSD they have a group chat, they have Facebook. It was actually pretty cool. It was actually like a meetup group. You would go to a bar, you would see a bunch of random dudes. You would say, "Is this the?" And they would say, "Yep." You would introduce yourself. You would sit down, shoot the shit. Hey, what's your story? What are you trying to get out of this? You would go outside the bar. You would set goals. You would team up. It was pretty damn cool. Fortunately, they don't do those anymore. But I knew this guy was kind of off. He looked like he was on meds and stuff. And he was this tall white guy. A little bit out of shape when I first met him. But then eventually got in better shape. Started eating better, going to the gym. And he was really into black women. His ex-wife was black. But I remember I really didn't want to hang out with him because I can tell he was like off. He looked like he was like zoned out. Like he didn't know what he was doing. So he got my number off Facebook from somebody. I didn't even, he added me on Facebook. And he told me he was depressed. Like, oh, I keep thinking about killing myself and jumping off buildings and driving off a cliff and shit. And he would ruin my night. He would ruin my vibe. He would come out with me. And he had anxiety, so he was afraid of crowded bars. So we would go inside of a bar. He would go outside and say, I'm going to go outside for a second. He would just go home. He would text me and say, yeah, I'm going home. I'm like, you came all the way out here just to go home? Why don't you wait? Well, we can walk around. No, it's okay. I'm going home. So he was definitely a weird guy, and I think part of his depression was he was older than me. I think I was like 24, probably like 23, 24 when I met him. I was in my not even mid-20s. He was probably like closer to 30. And he was living at home. And I think his mom was like crazy, like kind of like my mother is. And a lot of our mothers are. And I think his grandma was dying. And he felt depressed because he couldn't get a girlfriend. And he couldn't get laid. And he didn't really have any friends. So we hung out for about a year or two. And then there were some funny stories about him. He's not dead, by the way. I'm not talking about like he's dead. I actually saw him a year ago. But he actually would get doped up on this medication. I don't know what he was on. And he just wouldn't give a fuck. And me and this other guy were amazed. Like, he would mostly approach black girls. And he would walk up to, they could be talking to someone. He would go, hey, where are you going? And he sounded like a cop. They're like, are you a cop? And he would say like, hey, what seems to be the quagmire? They're like, quagmire? You mean like Family Guy? He was fucking wild, man. He was just delusional. He would walk right into a store. I mean, his game was actually impressive, but he was fucking. I mean, I guess if you want to be a guy and be an approach machine, get some sort of fucked up medication. What is it, Lexapro or some shit or whatever these people take. But this guy, man, he was just out of control, and he mostly approached black girls and stuff, and he loved black women. And I had no problem with that because I didn't really give a fuck. I was like, whatever. I'm not going to get laid anyways. So, long story short, he actually was insecure about his voice. And one night this black girl made fun of his voice. She was like, he sounds like Kermit the Frog. And he was like fucking pissed. And he would come out with me and he would just complain like, oh, I can't get laid and everything. He called me one night. He went to a hooker. And he was like, hey, man, I went to a hooker. And I thought it was good at first. I banged her in a hot tub. And I was like, so you didn't use a condom? He was like, no, I didn't use a condom. And he was like, I feel bad. I feel terrible about myself. And then out of the blue, he just stopped talking to me. I think months went by and I realized, I don't know if this guy's even dead. And by the way, I sent him this book on how to pick up girls on Craigslist. He actually ate this random black girl out. He posted an ad on eating pussy. And this black girl came over his house and he pulled her panties down, went down on her. She left. But he randomly just stopped talking to me, and I was like, "Is he dead?" And I tried to ask around, like, "Hey, what happened to this guy?" And people were like, "I don't know. He doesn't come out anymore." And he did tell me a story. He pulled a black girl once at a Wawa. He saw this. He said she was pretty attractive too. He's this black girl. Some guy tried to break into her car, and he's like, "Hey, get his license plate number." He gave her a ride. She ended up giving him a lap dance, and he banged her. He fucked her. And he was like, he said, he was the type of guy. He was like, "I would get depressed after sex because I want to do it again. I want to do it again." But you meet a lot of characters doing PUA. And I'm weird too. I'm not saying I'm normal, but I mean, you know. So I saw him like a year ago. He was at an ATM in the area we used to hang out at. And I was like, "Yo, man, what's up, man? Of course, you remember me, right? We used to hang out." I was like, "Yeah, I remember you. How you been?" And I told him, I said, "I don't really do PUA anymore. I still go out. You know, I just fucking stand around." He was like, "Yeah." He's like, "I don't really approach anymore." And I remember he took a boot camp from Vince Calvin, that weird foreign guy with the peacocked hair and everything, the accent. He took a boot camp from him in Vegas, I remember, years ago. And many years ago. He said it helped him, but I don't think he got laid off it. But we were talking, he seemed like he was in a good place. And I said, "What's going on with you?" And he said, "I think he worked at the stadium, doing certain things, you know, like passing out things and everything." And he seemed like not happy, but he seemed definitely in a better place. And I was like, "All right, man, well, you know, seems like you're doing well. It's good seeing you." Like, "Yeah, you too." And that was it. But I remember when he was like in a really fucked up place, he would call me, you know, he'd call me, "Hey, where you going tonight?" He would pick me up sometimes. There was times where he would mix his medication with alcohol, and he got pulled over by the cops a few times. Lucky he didn't get locked up. He was swerving on the highway and shit. He's lucky he didn't end up dead or anything. But it's amazing how, you know, certain people, when at a low place, they call you and stuff, and then once they get their life together. I guess what happened was he eventually moved out of his mom's house. First, he was living like this family, like in a basement, like in a farm somewhere, like outside the city. And then he eventually got his shit together, got his own place. And I guess now he's happy. And, you know, I don't think he ever had trouble really getting girls because he was a tall white guy. And he was weird. And he didn't like his voice, but, you know, he wasn't, you know, ugly or anything. He wasn't like, you know, he's fucking tall white dude. Then he got himself in better shape. So, you know, I don't know why. Like I said, this is just a random video. But I remember thinking to myself a few weeks ago, they should make a law where girls have sex. And I was like, where did I get that from? And I was, "Oh, that guy." And this other guy that hangs out with me, he brings him up every once in a while. He actually saw him recently too. So, hey man, if the guy's doing better and he's not depressed anymore, he's in a better place, good for him. But, I mean, it's just weird how you meet certain people doing this PUA shit over the years. I met a lot of guys, and certain ones stand out. And as I said, this is just a random video. I don't know why. I figured I can definitely talk about this for at least a few minutes. But, anyways, thanks for watching.